opponent is telling that you are promoting here in Aurora a wrong way for solving homelessness. He is supporting the Houston model, which is creating first a solution before moving or sweeping the camps. You are supporting the idea of banning the camps. Do you agree with this idea that maybe Houston is a useful model, or you think that you are in the correct way?
No, I think that I'm going down the correct path. I don't think Houston is a model for the city of Aurora. It's called Housing First. And Housing First assumes that housing is so basic to the human condition that if you solve for housing, and not just temporary shelter housing, but more permanent housing like tiny homes or like an apartment for a lengthy period of time, that individuals will change their behavior. And if you provide services, they will decide for themselves to take advantage of those services. And there's a very low metric for success that as long as that it costs more money to have people on the street in terms of arrest and in visits to the emergency room than it does to have them housed. But I think that's a very low metric of success. And so I want a policy that is fair to the taxpayers to get up every morning and go to work, and is compassionate to the people that are living on the street. But I don't want to enable their behavior on the street. I want to move forward even with a more aggressive camping ban that I'm working on. But I won't put it into effect until we really have the services for them that are available. So I'm looking at creating a specialized court for low-level offenses by homeless people. But the goal is not to punish them. The goal is to get them into treatment. The goal is to make sure that we have the addiction recovery treatment, that we have the mental health treatment, and that we have housing options available for them to get them off the street. But what I will not do, that Councilman Marcano wants to do, is to give them these resources without any expectation of them taking advantage of them. In other words, give them housing. We have these pallet homes without having any requirements placed on them. I think they need to commit. If we're going to give them these pallet homes, they need to commit that they're going to do something affirmative to change their behavior. And so that is a difference that I have.
Do you have any frustration because of the situation in the police department? Because during your term, you have watched 2 or 3 different police chiefs, but now there is a temporary chief. So do you have any frustration in that? Do you think something could have been done different?
Well, I think that the process didn't really work out when we were hiring our last police chief. I like the idea of Art Acevedo coming in first as a temporary, so that all of our communities can see whether or not he's working in their interest, working in everyone's interest. And so I think he's so far demonstrated that ability. And so at some point in time, there'll be a consideration whether or not to make him a permanent police chief. But so far, I think it's good. I like the idea that he's from an Hispanic immigrant community, that he was born in Cuba and came here as a young person, but with his parents being of Cuban descent. And I think that's helpful. That 30% of the city of Aurora is residents of Hispanic descent, and the largest immigrant community in this very diverse city is from Mexico, and the third largest is from El Salvador. So I think that it's a value to have somebody from those respective communities.
You were born here, or you grew up here in Aurora, but being a mayor is a different stuff. What you have learned about Aurora being a mayor? What have you discovered from the city?
Well, that it's It's a very complicated city. It's the 51st largest city in the United States now, with urban problems that it didn't have before, race, poverty, and crime. And so it's a very challenging city, but it has a tremendous amount of opportunity to it, both cultural and economic. And so I think that the future of Aurora, with the right policies in place, can be very exciting. So the kind of issues from an economic perspective that I'm working on is obviously defense, to make sure that the city of Aurora is a good neighbor to the Space Force space. It has about a $1.4 billion local economic impact. But what has the most potential, I think, is the Anschutz Medical Campus, with its 29,000 employees, its 4,500 students from the University of Colorado Health Sciences programs. And I think that there are tremendous opportunities. I am the chairman of as the mayor, I sit as the chairman right now of what's called the Fitzsimmons Innovation Campus, or community, which is the bioscience research part of the campus, which is on the northern part of the campus, which I think has the most potential and the most ability to grow and to be competitive, both nationally and internationally in terms of bioscience research. So I think I'm very focused on that right now. But I think growing those healthcare education, and bioscience research on the campus has created a lot of redevelopment opportunities on the campus that I think ultimately will help stabilize the area and help bring down the crime rate, and to have more of an urban center for the city of Aurora.
But give me one advice for finding a good restaurant in Aurora that you have discovered recently.
Oh, I think that there are tremendous immigrant restaurants, ethnic restaurants in the city of Aurora. You know, I really do like them all. I'm actually, there's a new one that's just opening up, and I think that it hasn't opened up yet, but I'm waiting. It is in the vicinity of Buckley Road in Iliff, and it's a Peruvian restaurant. And so I spent some time in Peru, and I love that food. But we have, I think, particularly on the Havana corridor, the most exciting mix of restaurants, Asian, Hispanic, African immigrant restaurants. And so I tend not to favor just one of them, Vietnamese too, but I think it's very exciting that Aurora has. I think it's one of the attractions that Aurora has is that it's cultural diversity in the city, and I think that's very exciting. And it also spills over to other areas. I mean, the religious diversity of our city that really comes from the cultural diversity of our city. And as the mayor of the city, I stand by all religious faiths in their ability to practice their religion without fear of discrimination and intimidation. And so I'm often at different churches or mosques or Buddhist temples or Jewish synagogues throughout our city at their events, so that I can demonstrate my support for them.
What do you think should be your legacy of your term, 1 or 2 term or 3 term as a mayor? Imagining the future.
Sure. Well, I think 3 things. I think, first of all, making our city safer by making sure that our police have the right training and the right resources to be able to bring down the crime rate, as well as addressing other issues like youth violence prevention before there is a problem. I think the second thing is with the immigrant and refugee communities, I really think that from an economic development perspective, that immigrants and refugees bring so much entrepreneurial energy to our city. And so I'm challenged with how can we capture that energy to help them start small businesses, because I think for many of them that is the American dream. They don't want to work for somebody else. They want to take that energy that they have and create their own small business. And so how can we help them navigate the process to be able to do that? How can we help them understand how to apply for loans? How can we help them with English classes? How can we help them with preparing for the citizenship test? And so I think that to be that we are the most diverse city in Colorado and one of the most diverse in the United States, we have a 10-year integration plan for immigrants and refugees, and I'm continually looking at how can we strengthen that plan to be a welcoming city to everyone who calls it home, and to again to help grow our economy through attracting immigrants and refugees to our city. I think that the third is growing the economy through on the Anschutz Medical Campus, through attracting more bioscience research, through making sure the city of Aurora is a good partner with the University of Colorado Hospital, with Children's Hospital, with the Veterans Administration, their regional hospital, making sure that we're a great place for healthcare education, making sure that we're a great place for healthcare research, growing that, expanding that 29,000 employees to a much larger number, and then seeing that that it's a catalyst, that growing the economy in terms of healthcare is a catalyst for economic growth in the city of Aurora, and recognizing also that we have to address affordable housing to make sure that people aren't pushed out of their neighborhoods that they've lived in a long time because of gentrification.
Do you have any additional comment about your attempt or intent or idea of creating the formula of a stronger mayor in Aurora?
Sure.
Is there revealed some frustration of you about the limitation of being a mayor in Aurora?
Well, it is a little challenging. I think that people think that I probably have a lot more power than I do because I work hard and I leverage what limited authority I do have to move the city forward. But I think it would be helpful in terms of having things like an economic development plan that can't get quite through the council, that where we're attracting better paying jobs to our city, and we're not simply the warehouse capital of the world and a dumping ground for low wage jobs, that people are able to have better jobs with better incomes in the city. So it will not be on the ballot this year, but it very well may be on the ballot 2 years from now, and I support it.
Your last message in Spanish. Díganos algo en español.
Soy Mike Coffman, el alcalde de la ciudad de Aurora, y como alcalde estoy muy orgulloso de la diversidad de nuestra ciudad. La comunidad inmigrante hispana es muy importante a mí y a esta ciudad. Hay tres temas que me siento son muy importantes para el primer tema es para reducir el crimen en nuestra ciudad. La segunda, el segundo es para reducir los desamparados, para darles tratamientos para sus retos, como los droga, adicción, y sus retos con su salud mental, y para darles entrenamiento para trabajar, y el tercer tema que es importante a mí como alcalde, es para provenir, proporcionar más vivienda asequible en nuestra ciudad para ayudar a las familias con menos ingresos. Por supuesto, quisiera ganar su voto en las elecciones que vienen. Okay.